How Jordan Peele rebooted the Twilight Zone for the modern social justice era. You're traveling through another dimension. For fans, that phrase is all you need to hear. The words instantly. The show's singularity is perhaps why every attempt to officially reboot the Twilight Zone for 55 years has been considered a failure. It's also why I felt like it's the greatest show of all time, Peele says. We were tentative to the easiest way to botch a Twilight Zone reboot, Peele notes, is to not pay proper respect to writer and host Serling's formula. The original series, he would tell stories that explored character and a character's tragic flaws, Peele says. And he would craft it. That last bit is something Peele has already masterfully accomplished at the box office with his films, and fans can expect the same from this iteration of Twilight Zone. One of the new episodes, the world we live in 2019 is clamoring socially, politically, morally for a new Twilight Zone, says executive producer Simon Kinberg, who first met with Peele 2 years ago about collaborating on the reboot. Our politics are another installment, about a kid Jacob Tremblay who gets elected president, is a commentary on President Trump. There's no more not all the episodes impart some broad societal message. Others in the first Scott had reason for trepidation as well, as previous versions of Nightmare starred screen legends William Shatner and John Lithgow. The latter tackled the role with a breakout bonkers performance in 1983's Twilight Zone the movie. In comparison with nearly all the actors on the show, which has also enlisted names like Zazie Beetz, Taissa Farmiga, John Cho, Stephen Yeun, Guinevere Goodwin, and Seth Rogen signed on to their respective roles before seeing a script. In fact, the other producers believed in that idea. I was kind of Other adaptive changes include a much larger budget than any previous Twilight Zone series, R-rated profanity. We want characters to speak the way modern characters would speak, Kinberg notes, and variable running times thanks to its home on a streaming service. Episodes range from 30 to 60 minutes. Not all the formatting decisions involved weighing the new version of the Twilight Zone against its iconic past, however. Because there is one, Black Mirror is an absolute masterpiece, and we wouldn't have moved forward with our show if we didn't identify what is unique to Black Mirror and what is unique to Twilight Zone, Peele says of Netflix's Emmy winner. One of the easy Nanjiani points out another difference as well. At its core, Black Mirror is cynical about humanity. If that's not a dig, I love the show. To me, Twilight, and nowadays, that kind of optimism alone is a surprise twist. Hey, race the new trailer.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park,